Guys, we are back at the Art of Whiskey with our guy Richard, the Whiskey Wizard, man. Now, Richard sent me a chart. It says, hey, man, there's some do's and don'ts to whiskey. We want to start there today. I like the do's and don'ts because I don't know what to do. So, I appreciate you putting that together, man. What is the first do not do no matter what when you're drinking whiskey?
I would say don't store your whiskey bottles in direct sunlight.
And what does that do to the whiskey?
Direct sunlight, it's not bad for them to be in like indoor lighting, but direct sunlight, it can harm the whiskey. Yeah, it's not good.
And so what is it? It just keeps aging it, or
no? It's not aging it. I don't exactly know like the science behind it. I stopped reading after. Don't ever do this. I didn't keep diving in. I believe you, and on to the next thing not to ever do, kind of thing. Yeah, I know it damages it. I know the UV stuff is hard on the inside of the whiskey, and I think it just harms the way it. Usually, when they're telling you this, it's going to affect the way it tastes. Yeah. So if they're telling you not to do something, it's generally because it's going to hurt the way it tastes or the way you experience it, and you always want to maximize that. So don't do anything. You spend good money on whiskey. Don't do anything that's going to negatively affect how you enjoy it.
You don't want to lose it.
Exactly.
Not the integrity of it, right?
Yeah.
So number 2, what was your second thing? It says do not store your whiskey on its side, especially if the cork is made of silicone, basically.
No, if the cork's made of cork. Yeah.
Cork is, yeah.
So
silicone.
With wine, you want it like this because you don't want your cork to dry out. You know what I mean? With alcohol, generally, because you're at such a higher alcohol content, there's usually enough in here to keep it from drying out. Sometimes when you open old dusty bottles, the whiskey cork will break and you have to replace it and put a new cork in. But that's better than it sitting like this because this is such a high alcohol content that it will react with the cork and it will negatively affect the taste of your whiskey.
Damn, so you can get basically a corky whiskey if you put it sideways.
Yeah, it can go bad.
Who do, man?
Yeah.
And then number 3 is as great as they can look, be careful when storing your bottles on glass shelves.
Yeah.
Or saving money on using plastic shelves. What's your take on storage then? I guess that's
the old way it always works is someone gets a bottle and it ends up in the corner there and it's like, oh cool, and then it turns into 2 or 3 bottles and then we've got to find a place for it. It's clutter now and it's someone's time to cook or it's your birthday, someone gives you 2, now we've got 5 and you're starting to collection. So a lot of people have shelves at home and sometimes they're glass and so people they don't think about it, but each one of these has some weight to it. And 5, 10 start stacking up. It's the shelf stronger at the perimeter, but you start putting stuff in the middle and things start breaking and makes a loud noise and it smells great, but you can't drink it and it's a sad day, and I've seen that happen not just with glass shelves, but with also like those plastic shelves that you get. Yeah, so I would always, you want to store them on something sturdy.
Damn, man.
It's huge.
See, it'd be those little things you didn't realize, but he is right, because people keep bringing me bottles, and by the time you look up, you go, if we didn't have a nice solid counter, man, we would be screwed.
And think about it too, like, when did your shelf break? What was the straw that broke the camel's back? So it was my newest bottle that wiped out every bottle I own. And now you have 0 bottles, you know what I mean? Back to 0, so it's not a good situation.
You know what? Those blendery bottles are pretty strong, though.
Those blendery bottles are pretty strong. And if they land on the wax side, you get a little bumper.
See, I was like this. I dropped one day, and that thing didn't have a dent in that bottle. Yeah. And I was expecting it to crack, but you could drop like that Good Times or some Old Soul or some of those thinner bottles. That motherfucker break it.
Yeah.
That blendery bottle, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm talking about from almost 6 feet off the ground. Boom! No, it's still good.
Yeah, they're hefty.
So
I've seen one bounce.
So you got whiskey likes to be cool in a dark place with relatively humidity, ideal for guitar storage, or even higher 50°C. So how much humidity should be in this space where whiskey lives or thrives?
Generally at least 50%, 40 to 50%, hopefully.
40-50%.
45. I would say, like I store guitars between, I don't go below 45. And basically, you're thinking of, when you're thinking about the humidity, you're thinking about, the corks, you don't want them to shrink because you don't want to add more of a barrier, less of a barrier between the glass and the cork. You don't want your labels drying out and peeling off if it's a collectible bottle that you don't plan on opening or something like that. So generally, that's going to be the same kind of conditions for storing fine wood or guitars or things like that. I like 50% 55% humidity.
Damn, people, I'm a little off. He made me go check my little Nest app and see if I was close. It's about 42% humidity in here. So
and that's what happens right now because it's starting to get cold. You got the heater on, it's pulling moisture out of the air. It's always so I usually run my year round, but I only put distilled water in it because if you don't, like the water that comes out of the humidifier will start like putting white dust on stuff. And it's always this time of the year where it's hard for me to get the distilled water at the grocery store because some people are only running them in the winter. And it's because the heaters are on and it's pulling a lot of the moisture out of the air.
And you do that because you're a whiskey wanderer.
I do that. I also have a bunch of guitars. And then also my hands I'm working around whiskey all the time anyway, so they just dry. I just dry out. Like a raisin. Yeah.
So look, now this is what I think number 5 is super important because you go, once you open your bottle, the clock has started. Mm-hmm. Walk them through that. I'm not gonna. I mean, Richard put this thing together. People, I'll add this to part of the description here, so you can leverage it. And we'll do more stuff in short form for you to like take heed to this notice. But man, the general belief is that the bottles more than half full should be good for 1 to 2 years, as long as the above points are met. So walk them through the important what's it like? Let's say I open the bottle. How long do I have to drink it before it loses its integrity?
So it doesn't work like a perfect line. You know what I mean? Or like linearly. Like it doesn't just so if you open a bottle and you take 2 sips out of it and you leave the fill level right here for a long time, that's great because you have minimized how much air you have in your bottle. What the fatal flaw that I see people do that just breaks my heart is they go, "This was my favorite bottle I've ever had ever. I've only got this much left. I'm going to save that for a special occasion." And they're in the money zone. You know, this is their favorite bottle ever because it's perfect right now. You know what I mean? And they're going to park it for a year or two to save it with somebody with all this air in the bottle. And when they go back to it, you know what I mean? It's not how they remembered it. They built it up. They talked, I'm saving this whiskey for when you come visit me. You know what I mean? We're going to do this and that and this and that. And then after all that, we're going to have that last
sweet.
And they kick themselves up for it. And it's a lesson that they learn the hard way, which is what we're helping people not do.
Hey.
Yeah.
Do they have, like in wine, like pumps to pull out the air?
They do. And some people use the wine pumps on them. They also, what a lot of people will do is they have like a parafilm that you can wrap around. It's like a waxy, and it is a airtight barrier around the bottleneck. And some people will even pull the cork out, spray an argon gas, which is heavier than oxygen, and so it will fall to the bottom where the whiskey is and remove all of the air above the whiskey from actually being able to interact with the whiskey. I believe it's called argon gas. And it's supposed to be odorless and not affect the taste at all. So people that are drinking, I've seen people that are drinking, $10,000, $15,000 bottles that are not messing around. They'll pour a little, quarter of a milliliter, smell it around kind of thing, and then gas it and wrap it right back up with parafilm, and not more than a quarter of a milliliter, but I'm just saying a quarter ounce.
What bottle is $15,000?
Oh man, you start getting into some of these scotches, and $15,000 is a drop in the bucket. It's not really that big a deal. Some stuff hit specs earlier this year. One of them was a Port Ellen. I want to say one for 35 grand, 45 grand.
A bottle?
A bottle. Yeah.
That's barrel prices.
Well,
man.
so the thing about Scotch that people don't understand is like some of the oldest American whiskey that we see is you start getting above 20 years. Pappy 23, the Eagle Rare, Double Eagle Very Rare, I think it's 25. They did a Old Rip that's 25. Some of the Heaven Hill stuff, I think they have a 25 or a 27. That's ultra super max age for American whiskey because you're using virgin oak and because of your different grain. It can't live in the barrel for that long. When you're using something like 100% malted barley and you're going into a cask that's already been used by red wine or something like that, and you're not putting it super high in a rick house where it's really hot, you can park these things for 50 years. And they're amazing, incredible. And then you also think about the guy who put it in the barrel. He may have died before it hit the 50 year. You may never even get to know what it tastes like. You know what I mean? That's why Scotland, apprenticeships go for 10, 15, 20 years sometimes before they hand you the keys to the kingdom and let you. Yeah, it's crazy.
But it sounds fair if they've been doing it for 300 years, damn near.
So it's the flavor profiles that you can take on after 50, that's nuts. We would never. If you told me I've got a 50-year-old bourbon, I would go, I bet it tastes awful. You know what I mean? If you said I've got a 50-year-old Highland Park, I'd go, please, yes, can I have some? Yeah, completely different thing. Yeah.
Now, so you're saying regardless, if there was a whiskey or bourbon that was 50 years old, it wouldn't be good?
I mean, I hate to say, never, but I would expect that if it's a 50 years old, they'd probably add in some water to it, because generally things that get that old, the oak will start to get astringent or very, very drying. And I think the oldest American whiskey I've ever had was 27 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know that, man. Damn, so there is a limit to a degree.
There is a limit, but some of the best ones I've ever had are like 20, 25. Like there's Michter's 20, Michter's 25. Those are fantastic pours. Someone brought a 25-year-old Heaven Hill by the other day that was outrageous. Still living rent-free in my brain. But like my buddy ordered, he bought a sample of it's like a 38-year-old thing that was from MGP. I think it was a bourbon, and I think they were able to make 18 bottles of it between 4 barrels of it. So that's how low each barrel was, and I think the proof was pretty high. And he said it smelled great, but when he tasted it, he said it tasted like Robitussin. And I want to say those were going for 30 grand.
30 grand
Yeah.
with Robitussin.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Just no. And no. Well, guys, we're not gonna keep. I'm gonna put this up. We got one more. We'll do one more. Lastly, whiskey is made to be shared, and the whiskey community is one of the greatest there is. Full of genuine, kind-hearted people. That said, collections can become very valuable. People that no. He put no. That's how he must know some Negroes. Be careful who you let into your special bar. We hate that we have to mention this, but it does need to be considered. Things also be out of reach for your pets and children. So you're saying don't trust everybody in your house.
I'm not saying don't trust everybody in your house. What I'm saying is the people that know whiskey well know how valuable it is when it's good. And usually with whiskey community and everything, people are fantastic, and it's great to share whiskey and stuff like that. But I don't know that I would just want a random person knowing that I happen to have $10,000 worth of whiskey. You know what I mean? In where I live and what it looks like and what room I keep it in and all of that stuff. Yeah. I might want to hang out with them twice before I just invite them over, show them where it is and all that. And I've seen people, they like to oh, here's my collection, and they like to. Sometimes it's a flex, or check my stuff out, and then it's well, you got robbed, bro. And I'm that way with guitars too, and just everybody should be cautious about their assets. That's all I'm saying.
You suckers just got served, and they walking to hold up those bottles.
I will also say though, the whiskey community is the greatest community I've ever been a part of. The kindest people I've ever met were through whiskey.
And I've learned that too myself as we've gone through our journey, and really still just beginning. But to Richard's point, I feel the same way. We do a lot of dog stuff. People say, hey, can I come see the dogs? Like, no, this ain't no petting zoo. And even more importantly, I don't want people coming in and out the house and all where we are. Because it's essential that they safe, we safe, everybody's safe. And also don't want nobody getting bit. It's the other thing. So we keep a good eye on things, and we have to be precautious about who comes in and out. And even when you see the Parker's 14 or that old fist bottle I got, or that 17-year Heaven Hill that I got in there in the case, somebody see those little wee bottles compared to where some of these people he knows, and hell, I know too now, have got, but still. Well, hey man.
Hey, that Heaven Hill 17. I mean, I think I've seen them go for $1,900. That's not a joke.
If only I needed the money. Guys, keep it whiskey, man.